I've been getting a version of this for a very long time, more than the last 4 years. Dan still doesn't get, this is someone writing in here on YouTube, Dan still doesn't get that they were the first to go super political and lost half of his fans. I gave it like 6 months because I love the sports part, but when it was constantly politics down your throat, it quit being fun. And you felt like you were being lectured too.
Wait, where'd you get that?
YouTube.
You got that from someone actively watching our show while they're saying how we lost half our audience and aren't watching the show?
Okay, this is why you sound defensive.
No. I sound defensive because I know the numbers. I know that we didn't lose half our audience, and it just feels like a wild criticism when someone's literally watching on a platform where you can't argue that you're not watching anymore.
The thing about the risking of losing fans that the criticism neglects is that it was a conscious choice. I didn't do, and we didn't do, everything it is we did to be told or governed by anybody else what to talk about. Anyone who has been around here behind the scenes, as it sounded like I'm going a little bit crazy over the last 4 years for a variety of reasons that don't have to do with that, is I understood some of the sacrifice we were making when we were making it, some of it, not all of it. And one of the choices that everyone around here has heard me say is I wanted these microphones to be free right now, as Morning Joe can't do its show on Monday, or The Daily Show can't do their show on Monday, or Jon Stewart, someone as powerful as Jon Stewart, can't do the stuff he was doing for Apple because the corporations are in charge. I understand if and why you object to this stuff. I also understand why you want it to be sports and the escape. I like that too sometimes. But after a presidential assassination attempt, or a former presidential assassination attempt, I don't actually know. You guys tell me, because I really don't know about the question that I'm asking. How many of the sports shows addressed what happened with Trump? I don't know the answer to what it is I'm asking. I've been traveling. I'm behind. I feel bad that I don't know a lot of what's going on because you fall behind very quickly these days. But I just don't want to sit out the next 4 or 5 months, no matter how it is that they end up going, because I can't talk about stuff. It's the choice we made. The choice we made had something to do with Chris Cody, but what started to fray everything before Chris Cody was the limitations on speech because of a corporate policy that now results in all the walls falling down. So Dana White is endorsing Donald Trump for 5 minutes on McAfee.
I didn't really pay attention to the sports media landscape outside of what was aggregated, and I saw what Dana White had to say there. And also, I'm existing on a show in which a couple minutes before I went into probably my most what could be considered political segment in several months. I said over the weekend, I wondered aloud if I should just stop doing this altogether. And I think that that's superhuman to wonder if we should be doing this, especially now when, gotta be real, vibes are real bad for at least the side that I'm pulling for, which is not even a candidate, really. I'm constantly telling my phone to stop texting me because I'm a registered Republican still. I feel sometimes a duty to say, hey, this isn't normal, and some people view that as an attack. It's why today and even now I'm trying to be so careful with how I'm saying something. I don't want to have this Sean Strickland redux in which I appear unhinged. I don't want to appear unhinged like I did when Greg Cody tried to ruin my Stanley Cup final. I understand now in this climate, especially as violence is spiking, that the need, even when I'm saying something that most in the audience might find disagreeable, that there is such an underlined importance in being calm and seeing like you don't actually feel super emotional about this. It's hard to argue that you're being rational about something when you sound emotional.
Oh, I would go a step further on that. The entirety of my career, one of the greatest difficulties I have had in just being a communicator is that the way that I deliver things can be strident and obnoxious and arrogant. makes me unlikable, and in the delivery of things that might otherwise be well thought out, get drowned out in people not liking how it is that I'm delivering whatever the message is. I will tell you that since the death of my brother, I am feeling things more deeply on both ends, high end and low end. So I may, over the next 4 months, be even more guilty of this, given the general fear in the climate, because I do believe that what is presently happening is that there are a lot of people in the American voting public who are a combination of scared and angry. And so that combination of things often leads to violence. And so things are about to escalate here. I will remind you, if you've been with us through the 3.5 years, okay, because the day after we left ESPN, the insurrection happened. And I was paying, in a panic, $1,000 a day for a security guard because things had escalated to the point. Billy's still shocked by that.
That's a great racket by that security guard because, like, respectfully, I don't think the target after the Capitol was the Dan Le Batard Show studio.
Well,
understood respectfully.
Understood, and also respectfully, there were 2 people in the studio at the time. Like, everybody was
$1,000. What were you paying an hour? Like 3-hour day. It's crazy.
No, we would have done things differently back then, but everything felt like super heightened, and that was because we had seen something that we'd never seen. And I remember how shocking it was. You did it not too long ago with the Howard Dean clip. Like, remember when this was a thing that would take a candidate just totally out of the race?
Remember the tan suit?
I remember what our reaction.
The tan suit.
I remember what our reaction was to January 6th, and it wasn't a normal one. Society kind of paused in that moment, and we all kind of looked at each other and said, what can be done about this? And things went away and kind of felt normal for a little bit. And I said this on Monday, what kind of scared me about everything, what scared me most was the gun violence, once again, in what is supposed to be a really secure location with a lot of good guys with guns, and yet a bad guy with a gun almost killed the president. After that, after all that happened, everyone felt normal. What was happened in the RNC feels like super normal. You have to remind yourself that there are these visible cues, like people have bandages on their ear in a support of Donald Trump because someone tried to take his life, and this is not normal. Like, would it have felt normal if the bullet was closer? The world would have stopped. I was in Tahoe at the time, and I was at a casino, and I was passing by the sports book, and there were games still going on. And I was like, why are there games going on? Like, there was a politically motivated assassination attempt on the former president and the leading candidate for president in this cycle. This should not feel normal. I don't want to do the show anymore was one of my thoughts that was going by my head at the time. And yet here I am trying to make it through the day as I normally could. And I can't. I have to remind myself that it isn't normal and that I have to do what I can. But I also realize the need to do it in a different manner now.
For those of you who are saying that we didn't recognize where fans would be lost, because there have been fans lost, but I would make the argument that standing for something in this particular climate has also made us gain fans and gain the strength of fans that we already have. But I totally understand your objection if that's not what you want from a sports show. I hope you understand my objection that at 55 years old, I'm not going to spend all my time talking about Davante Adams.